Hello, everybody, and welcome in to Dorton and Doetkott Debate Podcast. I am Lucas Dorton. I am joined by Nicholas Doetkott, obviously. New hair, who cares? No, it is good. It is good. As you can see, folks, we have another guest in my lower right screen. I'm not sure where he is at for y'all, but a new face to the Dorton and Doetkott Debate podcast family here. Dylan Pauly. Dylan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about you guys?
Not too bad.
Doing all right.
Not too bad. Well, we appreciate you coming on. So that's pretty cool.
Appreciate you guys having me.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So first, before we get into it, put you on the spot a little bit. A few. I like to ask a few baseball questions just to get to know, other people's interests. Maybe some people that they're into. Maybe it's a little bit different than someone else. So,
Okay.
First question: who is your MLB team that you follow?
The Minnesota Twins.
I figured so. Yep. Okay. Perfect. Who right now is your current favorite Twin, if you have one?
Probably Buxton, I'd say.
Buxton. Yeah, Nick's, that was a big scoff from Nick on that one.
I can tell.
I like players who play.
Okay.
Fair.
Fair enough.
Dylan, who is your all-time favorite Minnesota Twin?
Ooh.
A little bit tougher.
Yeah. I'd probably have to go Johan Santana.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's a good pick.
I was gonna say I know who isn't Dylan's favorite Twin of all time. The guy who probably is mine. I'm sure he knows who I'm thinking.
Would it be Eddie Rosario?
Well, he's one of mine, but Joe Mauer. Dylan's a hater.
Oh.
Not a Joe Mauer fan.
I am not. No.
Dylan's a hater.
Well, probably one of the few Minnesotans that is not a fan of Joe Mauer. Why the Joe Mauer hate?
Put me on the spot, but I'd have to say, I don't know. I've never been a fan of him. I mean, he's been an average player. He had one good season. His MVP or whatever, not MVP. Yeah, it would have been MVP.
Yeah,
it was a good year in 2009. But after that, I mean, he really hasn't done much. And then he signed an outrageous contract after that. And then he's been average since.
What blasphemy.
So.
Nick, comments?
Well, he's not the only one. T. Reed thinks the same. You just got to get over the fact that he was a first baseman. Think of him as a catcher. He wasn't a first baseman that whole contract. We didn't have to give it to him. It's our own fault. What do you expect when you pay a catcher that much money? He's not going to be able to catch forever. But he's going to be a Hall of Famer one day. Give the man his due.
I mean, yes, I will give you that. He is going to be a Hall of Famer. But I don't know. He had one really good year, and he was average the rest of the years. So
I do like me some Johan though. That's a good favorite Twin. I like me some.
And
Johan.
then the last question I have now. This one is tough. You probably might have to think hard. Maybe not. Maybe you already know.
Yep.
But this is the one that usually people have to think about it a little more. What is your all-time favorite Major League Baseball moment? It can be Minnesota Twins. It can be non-Minnesota Twins. What is your all-time favorite baseball moment?
Yeah, it is.
That's tough. I don't even know what mine is.
I'm not sure. I wasn't alive to see the World Series win, so that would probably be it. But I wasn't alive to see them, so.
Fair.
Do you remember Game 163 when Casilla hit the walk-off?
I do a little bit.
That was nice.
Yeah, probably that. And then I probably wasn't old enough to see the last time the Twins won a playoff game or a
Yeah.
playoff series.
I very vividly remember it. Unbelievable.
Even my Colorado Rockies have won more recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's embarrassing.
That is embarrassing. Anyways, so just I like to ask those questions. Always cool to see who other people's favorite players are and stuff. But so, anyways, we will move on. So, folks, I'm sure as you can read in the title, this was a Major League Baseball preview episode. Every year we like to have it. Try to make our predictions to see how wrong we are at the end of the year. Usually we're probably not close. Sometimes we are. Most of the time, probably not.
I should try to find one from last year and see how close I was.
Yeah, we'll have to look. So we'll be going division by division, team by team, and we will be breaking down who we have winning each division, as well as the rest of second to fifth place finishers in the division, as well as going into playoffs. We're going to predict some playoffs, World Series, and we're going to go through some of the awards as well, too. So overall, it's going to be a pretty jam-packed episode, but it's one that always enjoy doing. Nick and I, this is a sports podcast, but I think baseball definitely is both of our number one favorite sports. So this is always a really fun one to watch and talk about for sure. And it's always cool having guests as well too. So thank you again, Dylan, for coming. So anyways, so we're going to dive right into things here. We're going to go right into the AL East, starting out there. Dylan Pauly, we will have you start us off. So why don't you give us your first to fifth place finishers in the AL East?
So in the AL East, I have Toronto winning the division, the Yankees in second, the Rays in third, Orioles in fourth, and the Red Sox in last.
All righty. Now talk me through some of that, some of the picks, why you had them finishing that way.
So I was listening to some I've been trying to listen to some podcasts about team by team breakdowns, and I don't know, I think the Blue Jays they have a very deep rotation if Barrios gets his stuff together, and their lineup is just loaded. So I think they're going to come out, and they got a very good bullpen. I think they're going to come out as the best team in the AL East. And then the Yankees, I just don't know, with Rodon hurt to start the season. I don't know and Severino. I don't know who's going to step up while they're out. And Cole's good, but I don't know if he can carry their rotation. So, and then the Rays didn't really do a whole lot in free agency or in the off season, but they still are a young team. They got Randy Arozarena is a good player. Wander Franco is coming back off of injury, so, and they should be getting some pitchers back off from injury too. So, and then the Orioles, I think they had a good year last year. I kind of feel like they're gonna step back just a little bit. I don't think they're gonna be as good as some people think.
Yeah.
They're still gonna be good, I think, but I still don't. I'd still see them as around 500 team. And then the Red Sox, I don't know about the Red Sox. If
you get a time machine, they're a really good baseball team.
Yeah.
Sure. Very true.
But yeah, so that's what I got for my picks.
All right, Nick, what'd you have for the AL East?
So I have pretty similar, except right at the top, I have the Yankees first, then Toronto, then Tampa, then Baltimore, then Boston. I have the Yankees with 102 wins, Toronto with 95. So I have the Yankees winning fairly handily, actually. However, I did do these predictions before I realized Rodon was going to miss about a month. I'd probably drop a loss or two from him then. But as Dylan mentioned, there is concerns with the Yankees. Rodon's hurt to start the season. Severino's hurt to start the season. And for some reason, that team just always seems to struggle with injuries. Judge last year stayed healthy for the whole year for the first time ever. There's probably a decent chance he gets hurt. Giancarlo always misses time. But they have a really good farm system this year. I mean, they have for the last few years, but they got guys to replace replace guys now. I mean, Volpe made the major league roster. They got that Oswaldo Cabrera. They got all sorts of guys, and then they, the bullpen's still pretty good. And even with Rodon and Severino missing a few time, they got Garrett Cole and Nasty Nestor there, and then that Clark Schmidt should be decent. So I think the Yankees are poised for a really good year, but we'll see. Toronto, I think, actually had a disappointing year last year, considering they were, I believe, the AL favorite to make the World Series coming into last year, the betting favorite. But I think this year is their time to shine. I know I have them in second, but I think Toronto's going to take a step up this year. They're going to be really good. Dylan already mentioned everything about their rotation and whatnot. They did add Chris Bassett. So, I mean, they're looking really deep this year. Tampa, I'm sure they'll finish better than the 84 and 78 I have them at, because they always prove me wrong. But it's just on paper, I just can't see them with much more than that, especially in this division. But I'm sure they will. They always outperform. Baltimore, I agree with Dylan. I have them at 82 and 80. They have a good roster. I just can't see the surprise team last year repeating that, I mean, but we'll see, especially if Rushman keeps it up. Grayson Rodriguez and Gunnar Henderson, if they pan out, it could be a scary team. And then the Red Sox, you get a time machine and go back to 2013, they're winning the World Series. Justin Turner, Chris Sale, Corey Kluber, all sorts of guys. But I think they're probably around 79 wins or so.
Yeah. So I'll get into mine. So I had Yankees first, Toronto second, Tampa third, Baltimore fourth, Boston fifth. Yeah. This one was a tough one, kind of just the top two. There were moments today where I thought maybe Toronto does pull away with the AL East. I don't think that'd be a wild thing to say. That very well could happen for all of the reasons that you guys mentioned. You obviously mentioned Chris Bassett, but they also brought in guys like Dalton Varsho. Kevin Kiermaier is a solid defensive guy in the outfield.
Which means Springer will move to corner outfield.
Right. Brandon Belt, potentially probably throw him at DH, get you 20, 25 home runs. Obviously losing Teoscar Hernandez, big loss. Lourdes Gurriel, kind of the two bigger names there that they lost this offseason. But I think they did a pretty good job at replacing those guys or bringing in a few different guys that can help out and kind of make up for that loss. Toronto, definitely didn't do as well. Obviously, it's tough to say. I mean, they made they did all right last year, but definitely not as well as a lot of people thought. New York Yankees, I had them finishing first. Obviously, the pitcher injuries at the beginning of the year are we're gonna have to see how they do. I think if the Yankees come out and are winning games without these guys, and then by the time they come back, they can just kind of keep rolling. But throwing Severino, throwing Rodon, that could help them out a lot. And I think for me, that was kind of the main reason why I had them finishing first, is because at some point you would think everyone will be healthy, hopefully. And if that is the case, I think they're definitely number one in that division. Tampa, again, Nick hit the nail on the head. I think every single year we say we probably shouldn't pick against Tampa to miss the playoffs or to not finish top of the division. And every year, despite what the roster looks like, Kevin Cash and the boys always find a way to win ball games, probably win around 90 games, and they'll probably somehow sneak into the wild card. I had them finishing third. Baltimore, again, I think they're a team that, Dylan, you mentioned it well, a young roster, very young roster. And I think they're a team that probably is a couple years out from probably being a legit team. I could see them probably finishing around the 500-ish mark this year. But probably 2024, definitely by 2025, I think Baltimore is a playoff team. So let's see how that goes. And then Boston, I mean, you got Yoshida. Maybe he'll go off for you. I don't know.
Masataka.
Yeah, not a whole lot to look forward to in Beantown there, but we'll see what happens. Any other thoughts on the AL East? Any other things? Dylan, do you have some more thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I was just gonna bring up too when you guys about the Orioles. I know that they really didn't bring. I know there was talk about them bringing in starting pitching. They brought in Kyle Gibson. They traded for Cole Irvin too from the A's, but I don't know if that pitching's really gonna hold up to this year. Like maybe if Grayson Rodriguez does step up and pitches well when he comes up, maybe they will be fine. Yeah. But like Lucas said, maybe next year or the year after they should be a tough team to beat in the AL East and possibly in the playoffs. So
yeah, I mean that Gibson's nothing special. It's definitely an improvement from what they had. So it's something, but yeah, it's probably not gonna tilt the arrow any very much. But what's his name? Is he healthy? The guy who threw the no-hitter a year or two ago. Why am I blanking on his name?
Means?
Yeah,
Means?
Is he healthy to start the year?
I don't know.
Don't think so.
Yeah,
but I could be wrong.
They really need him.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Kind of funny. I mean, obviously Nick, I know you've mentioned it in the past when we've done these types of shows, as Boston is always finishing first and getting to the World Series or finishing dead last and one of the worst teams in baseball. Yeah. And usually it's kind of an every other year type thing. I don't think this is going to be that year. I just think there's too many good teams in the AL for them to be competitive. Boston's never been afraid to spend money. Maybe work up the farm system a little more and rely on some of those guys. And who knows, maybe this offseason they'll shell out $500 million to the next big free agent and they'll turn their whole season around.
As in Shohei Ohtani?
Shohei. My boy Trevor Story will be coming back at some point this year. Yeah, but
he's all right.
Yeah, injuries suck for sure, but we'll see what happens.
Don't say that here. Minnesota fans that's all they say is they bring up that injury bug excuse all the time. Oh, everybody was injured. That's why we weren't good.
We got two on the IL already.
Yep.
Kirilloff might as well just stay there. He's always hurt.
Yep. Polanco should too. They'll just bring Julian up and let Julian play second.
If they were smart, they would, but they keep guys down until they're 28 years old. So.
Yeah.
Well, good transition period into the AL Central. So good job, guys. Way to bring that up here. So Nick, we'll start with you on this one. AL Central. Who do you have finishing in what place and why?
I'll start from the bottom on this one. I have Detroit finishing last.
Shocking.
There's not much to say about them. They didn't add much. Their farm system's not great. I mean, hopefully Torkelson takes a step forward this year. I don't know. That's Riley Green's all right. I mean, that's about it. I have them with 60 wins. Kansas City's got some good young talent. Vinny Pasquantino. They got Brady Singer.
Bobby Witt.
Bobby Witt. Bobby Witt. And then they got big old Zach Greinke still there.
That's right.
Chucking Ethuses. He's the opening day starter tomorrow against the Twins.
Wow.
So Kansas City's got they at least give you reason to watch. I mean, there's some entertainment value there. But I have them at 67 wins, nothing special. Chicago, I have at 83 and 79. There's a lot of talent on the White Sox, but it's just a dumpster fire of a franchise right now. I mean, the management is just bad. The front office is just bad. It's just not a team you'd want to play for right now. And they lost their core, their dude the last how many years, Jose Abreu. And that's going to hurt. If Giolito can take a step forward and pitch like he did 2 years ago, then they might make the playoffs. But otherwise, I don't see it. I have Cleveland in second. the Guardians at 86 and 74, and I have the Twins. Call me a homer if you want, but I have the Twins edging them out by one game, going 87 and 75. I think the two teams are very, very close. The Guardians give you more reason to trust in them because they just did it recently, and they have a couple pitchers you can really, really count on. Bieber and McKenzie, and then Quantrill is pretty solid too. Plus, they got probably the best, not even probably, the best reliever in baseball. I don't even care about Edwin Diaz. Emmanuel Clase is the best reliever in baseball, and they have him. However, I just think the Twins, I think they have more talent. I really do. I mean, again, I know the Indians have the Guardians have Andres Gimenez. They added Josh Bell, which was a big signing. They got J. Ram, the most consistent top 10 player in baseball. But the Twins have a lot of depth. They got like 6 outfielders. I know, say what you want about Joey Gallo, who just batted like 198, but he's still a decent player. And with the shift ban, it should really help him. And he's a Gold Glover. You got a Platinum Glover in center in Buxton, and a Gold Glover in Taylor when Buxton doesn't play there, and a Gold Glover in Gallo on the corner. And Max Kepler's an above average defender on the corner also. And I'm not a huge Kepler guy, but he too should also improve this year with the shift ban. He grounded in more double plays into the shift than almost anybody in baseball. Then you got Correa, another Platinum Glove winner at shortstop. Jose Miranda was a very solid rookie last year. He'll do one of the corners, most likely third. I'm not sure who's going to play first when Kirilov's gone, but they'll figure it out. And then you got Polanco when he comes back, and then you have a very good hitting catcher in Christian Vasquez, who's also a decent defender. There's a lot of really good defense on this Twins team, which you could not say for most of the last few years. And this is probably the best 1 through 5 starting staff they've had also in like a decade, besides maybe like 2018. It doesn't mean it's great. I don't know if it's even top 10 baseball, but for the Twins, it's great. You don't have a bona fide ace, but you don't have a number 5. You know, Pablo Lopez is probably a 2. Joe Ryan's a 2. Sonny Gray's a 2 or 3. Mayeta's solid and Miley's solid. Like, they're all decent. Plus, you got Ober there in case of injury, and you got the flamethrower drawn at the back end with Lopez, who, yes, he sucked as a Twin last year, but I don't think he's going to be Twins Lopez. I don't think he's going to be Orioles Lopez, but if he's somewhere in between, mix that with Duran and Alcala, you get 3 guys throwing 100. I just think the Twins have a better all-around deep team, I think, and I think they'll edge them out by a game. I hope. We'll see.
Dylan, I'll let you take this. AL Central, what'd you have?
Okay, I guess I'll start from the bottom too, like Nick. I had Detroit at the bottom as the dumpster fire of the AL Central. And then I had Kansas City in 4th, Chicago in 3rd. Nick's probably going to not like me for saying this, but I have the Twins actually in 2nd.
Ronald.
And then I have the Guardians in 1st by 2 games. So
I mean, they are the betting favorites.
Yes. So my reasoning, I do trust my Twins to have a good year, but I don't know. Cleveland has a very, like Nick said, well-balanced team. Their rotation is good. Jose Ramirez is probably the better player out of anybody on those two teams.
I'd agree.
Like Nick said, the best closer in the game Cleveland has. I mean, we could have the best closer in the game too here in a couple of years, but I don't know. I just feel like Cleveland they were in the postseason last year. A lot of people are saying like, oh, they're not going to be the winner of the Central this year, but they did just win the Central last year, so I'm going to give them the upper edge by 2 games on Twins. So
I think Francona as manager is almost the difference maker sometimes. That dude's a great manager, and I think people forget that.
Yes, he is.
Dylan, I gotta ask, what was your thoughts on the Luis Arraez trade as a Twins fan?
I actually liked it. I actually really liked it, to be honest. I know Arraez was a very good. I mean, he won the batting title last year. He was a fan favorite in Minnesota, but they needed to get pitching, and I'm really glad they were able to get Lopez. They got Lopez for this year and next year, so it's not just a rental for this year.
That's huge.
Plus they got 2 young prospects too. I know people harp on prospects; they're not whatever, but they're reading into it that both of them sound like they're going to be very good hopefully in the future. So I think they won that trade. I mean, who knows? It might turn into a win-win for both teams, but I think as of right now, I think the Twins won that trade, but we'll see. Maybe Arise will keep hitting the crap out of the ball.
Keep hitting moonshots like he hit for Team Venezuela.
Yeah, maybe. So, but yeah, so.
All right.
Let's hear it, Lucas.
All right, so I guess I will also start from 5th and work my way up to 1st here for the AL Central. In 5th place, no shock to anybody, the dumpster fire Detroit Tigers.
Wait, Lucas, are they toilet or toiletry?
I'm just gonna give them toilet because I think they have some young players to just get them out of the toiletry position.
All right.
And Miguel Cabrera's last year, so you can't put Miguel Cabrera in toiletry conversation.
True. It's a very important distinction. So I just needed to check.
It is. Last year, that was one of the things we were dead wrong on. We had Baltimore being toilet and Pittsburgh being toiletry. Baltimore was not toilet. Pittsburgh was toiletry. So
Pittsburgh was toiletry.
Yeah, we were 1 for 2 on that one. So yeah, Tigers, I had them finishing 5th. Not really a whole lot to talk about there. Kansas City Royals, I have them finishing in 4th. Again, I don't think too much of a surprise to anyone. I think they are a few young pieces away from being where Baltimore is now. I think Baltimore has a lot of young players to where we think potentially next year maybe they sneak into the playoffs. I think the Royals are a couple young players away from starting that Baltimore Orioles type run, if that kind of makes sense. But for right now, I don't see much. Obviously, Zach Greinke is your opening day starter. Probably is that's your pitching rotation ace.
It should be Singer. I don't know why. Singer's solid. But...
And I like Singer. I think he had a lot of peaks and valleys last year. Times where he would just look electric, and other times couldn't get him out of the game fast enough. So we'll see what happens there. 3rd place, I also have the Chicago White Sox finishing. They lost some dudes, but they also brought in Andrew Benintendi and Mike Clevenger. So that's a couple guys that, Benintendi's a solid glove. He's going to hit for a decent average. Mike Clevenger, I think it was good to have him kind of restart going back to the Central now, obviously, when he started with the Cleveland squad over there. But so I have them in 3rd. I just think they lost too much in this offseason and didn't do enough to try and replace it to warrant them really doing anything in the division. And then 2nd place, I have the Minnesota Twins. Yeah, sorry, Nick. I have the Twins in 2nd, which lead the Guardians at 1st. Kind of my thought process behind that. Cleveland, again, is kind of, they're in one of those, they're kind of a Tampa Bay Rays type feel team. You look on it, I think they have some better players than Tampa does, so that's why I wouldn't fully put them in that conversation. But you look at it, there's really only a couple guys on that team that are, legit studs of the game. Obviously, Ramirez, Shane Bieber is a dog. But outside of those two guys, there really isn't, a whole lot of others, massive studs. Yeah, go ahead.
By the way, they just locked up Jimenez to like a 7-year, $100-some million deal.
Right. That's a good, and that's a good signing for them to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So That's what I think. And they also brought in a couple guys. Obviously they lost Austin Hedges in the offseason, replaced him with Mike Zunino. You ask me, neither one of them can really hit. Zunino, I think, has more power. And the defense, Hedges was a really good defensive catcher. And Zunino's not too bad, too. So I don't think that's really – you really lost a whole lot there. And they brought in Josh Bell as well, too. So that could be pretty huge as well for that. An interesting stat here that I saw. The Guardians, obviously, it didn't sound like they did a whole lot this offseason. But this is something that might shock you. Their $39 million in free agent expenses that they had is only $5.5 million less than what the Los Angeles Dodgers spent this offseason.
Really?
So you put it that way, and it's like, well, obviously the Dodgers are known for shelling out the big bucks. Cleveland didn't. So I expect them to finish first in the division. And again, Nick, you kind of brought it up. For me, the kind of big distinction was manager. I trust Terry Francona more than I do Rocco Baldelli.
I do as well.
Yeah. And the Twins, I think they probably had the better roster. I don't disagree in that thought. I don't disagree with any of the points that you brought up. I just think at the end of the day, those close games, when you really need a manager to make the right calls, I think I'm going to trust Terry more than Rocco in that situation.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because last year when the Twins downfall was like, there was this week we played the Guardians like 6 times. We had a lead going to the 8th inning almost every single time, and we lost every single one of those games except maybe once because our bullpen just imploded, and Rocco definitely doesn't help the situation. But that's going to be if there's a difference this year, that's going to be what it is. Can the Twins close those games out now? With Alcala, Lopez, and Duran, that's literally 100 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour. If they can pan out, I think the Twins will get it. If not, if it's same thing, same old, then yeah, the Guardians are the team to beat. And I'm fine with the Guardians being the favorite. I'm optimistic in my Twins. We'll see what happens.
Right. And then the Twins, for me, obviously, bringing back Carlos Correa was big. I obviously got Lopez. Even though you were the third choice, at the end of the day, he came back, couldn't get enough of those juicy Lucy's, so he had to come back, re-sign with the Minnesota Twins. And again, Dylan, you kind of mentioned it with the Lopez addition and the Arise trade. I think that'll be big for them as well, too. Christian Vasquez. So you look at the Twins roster, and realistically, I think, the AL is not a fantastic conference. There's a couple pretty solid teams, but for the most part, there's a lot. It's pretty wide open. So I'll be interested to see how the Twins do finish. And I think it'll, if they can come swinging out of the gate and hopefully stay away from the injury bug that's kind of hurt them sometimes in the past, we'll have to see. But other thoughts, AL Central, what are some other things you guys have thought about or maybe wanted to bring attention with that?
I have the Twins and Guardians both making the playoffs. I'm sure most people will not have 2 teams from the Central making the playoffs, especially now that the schedules are different and you're not playing the Royals and Tigers 17 times a year, but more like, 13, 14, because you play everybody now. But I think the Twins and Guardians will be decent enough to both sneak in.
I actually have both the Twins and Guardians in the playoffs too, just like Nick. So, I got them by, like I said, there's 2 games separated them. So Minnesota sneaks into that last playoff spot. So
just to get swept.
Yep.
Right. Cool. Well, anyways, we will be getting to the playoffs at some point here. So that's a good little teaser before we get to that point. So now we will hop into the AL West. I will start us off with this one here in the West. And I will also go from 5th to 1st. So, let me pull this up here. So 5th place, I have the Oakland A's. Shocker, I know. I'm sure everyone is just incredibly shocked that they are finishing in 5th. I mean, there's the A's are hovering in the toiletry conversation.
Oh yeah.
I mean, A's are definitely in the toiletry conversation. So we'll have to see what happens there. Then the Angels, I have them finishing in fourth place. Now a big thing that us and a lot of other people have talked about is the pitching. That has been pretty much the main reason that has held the Angels back is pitching. Well, they got some guys this offseason. They went out and got a few pitchers.
Yeah.
Tyler Anderson, who had a outstanding year with the Dodgers last year, brought him in. You know, he'll be a solid lefty pitcher, you know, a middle of the rotation guy. Carlos Estevez, Colorado Rocky, out of the bullpen, a guy that can touch 100 miles an hour pretty easily. Brought in, obviously, not a pitcher, but Gio Urshela, who was decently solid for the Twins last year.
Boy.
And Hunter Renfroe as well too. So again, I don't think the Angels are a playoff team this year, unfortunately. Are they a playoff team next year? Probably not. But at least they have finally started doing the thing that people have been telling them to do. They've been starting to get some pitchers. Now, eventually, I think they're going to have to make a big splash on a free agent pitcher if they really want to make some moves. So we'll have to see what happens. But I've been finishing in 4th. In 3rd place, I have the Texas Rangers finishing in 3rd in that division. So this one for me is, and I'll get into this a little bit later, but love what they did. They went out. You don't talk about pitchers. They went out and got pitchers. Brought in probably the biggest fish this offseason in Jacob deGrom to be the undoubted ace in that rotation, but brought in some other decent guys in Nathan Eovaldi. Brought Martin Perez back, Jake Odorizzi, Andrew Heaney, who's a decent kind of end of the rotation kind of guy. And they didn't really lose a whole lot either. I think with that, the revamped pitching and the already pretty solid positional guys that they have, obviously the middle infield and Simeon and Seager, Jonah Heim at catcher is pretty solid. Adolis Garcia in the outfield. They got some dudes out there. And I think this could be a potential big year for the Rangers. I have them finishing in 3rd. 2nd place, I have the Seattle Mariners. Again, last year played really well. They had the super long playoff game. I was at like 18 innings or something that they had. But again,
like 1-0 or something, or 2-1.
1-0.
Yeah, very
1-0. Isn't that insane?
Yeah, very low scoring game for playoffs for sure. Now, on one end, they did lose some guys. They lost Winker, Kyle Lewis, Mitch Haniger. They lost some guys, but they brought in Teoscar Hernandez, which is huge. Colton Wong is a super solid defensive second baseman who's going to steal you some bases. AJ Pollock isn't bad, along with the squad that they already have. So I think Seattle, again, is still a team that, now you probably have to start mentioning in the conversation of they might be a consistent playoff team. They finally kind of broke it last year, the long streak that they had of not making the playoffs by making it. And I think they're going to continue on that this year. So I have them finishing in 2nd. And then in 1st place, I have the Houston Astros. I don't think that's too much of a shock to a whole lot of people. Obviously coming off of winning the World Series. Now, they did lose Justin Verlander. It was kind of their big offseason loss that they had. Vasquez potentially in there too. Verlander, everyone knows the resume. You're not just going to replace a guy like that. But they do have some decent guys out there as well too on the mound still. Urquidy, Javier, they got some good guys, and brought in Jose Abreu as well too. So that kind of anchored their first base spot. So that was my AL West going through that. Dylan, I will have you go second. Let's hear your AL West.
All right. Well, I'll start from the bottom two. I had, as everybody should know, the Oakland Athletics in last.
Yeah.
In fourth place, I have the Angels. I don't know about the Angels. They could be a playoff team. They might not be. I don't know. It's just if Trout stays healthy, Ohtani stays healthy, the rest of their team, the pitching actually does well. So we'll see. In third, I have the Rangers. I think they are going to be a lot better than they were last year. I think DeGrom signing, getting pitching, Eovaldi is going to help, but we'll have to see what the offense can do with if the offense can stay consistent outside of Seager, Simeon, Nathaniel Lowe, Adolis Garcia. So we'll see. Hopefully the young guys can step up and they can be possibly a playoff team. I have them just on the outside of the playoffs. So, and then in second place, I got the Seattle Mariners. After last year, with Julio, and they have a very deep rotation too. Their bullpen is stacked. I don't know, with getting Teoscar and Colt Wong to add to that lineup is just pays dividends. I don't know, they could be a sleeper World Series team.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Possibly.
Okay. Yeah.
So
yeah, I love it as a sleeper pick. Absolutely.
So, but yeah, I don't know. I just think they're with Castillo and Ray and then Kirby and Gilbert. I just think those four are gonna. I don't know. Getting Castillo last year at the deadline was a big win, and then they signed him to an extension too, so they got him for the long term. So I do like Jerry DePoto making moves all the time. So
yeah.
But yep, that's my second place. And then I got the Astros in first. I have them as the only 100-win team in the American League. So I just think adding Jose Abreu, I know you lost Justin Verlander, but that rotation, they're 5-6 deep. So I just think, and then they have their bullpen is just as good as their rotation. So I think Houston's going to be tough out too. So, but I'd have to say those are my picks.
Nick, let's hear it.
Well, at the bottom, we got the 56 and 106 Oakland Athletics.
Oh, wow.
Lucas, that qualifies you for toiletry. That qualifies you for plunging out toiletry.
Sure.
Next, we have the Angels at 77 and 85. Let's see. Angels. You got Shohei, you got Trout. Oh, the Angels are going to win like 86, 87, 90 games this year, make the playoffs. No, the Angels suck. Just get it through your heads. The Angels suck, okay? They suck. That's all I have to say about them, all right? If they're smart, they trade Shohei, they trade Trout, get them out of there, give them somewhere they actually deserve so they can win and make a playoffs for once because the Angels suck. All right, enough of them. Rangers at third. Seattle at second, Houston at first. 2 and 3 was hard. I really want to put Texas too. They got my boy DeGrom. I mean, I know the dude's going to pitch like 12 games and get hurt for the rest of the year, but he's the best pitcher in my lifetime, I think, honestly, when he's healthy. Unless you include Pedro when I was like 5. But
Kershaw,
Seattle's just got more, I think. So I'll put Seattle in second. I'm a little leery. I think they could potentially kind of decline after last year. I just feel like they might for whatever reason. However, they are probably a better team. I mean, you lost Winker and Frazier, but those two didn't really give them last year what they hoped for. And you replaced them with Wong and Teoscar, who are both better players. Luis Castillo was an absolute savage on the bump for the Mariners last year, and they have him for a whole year now. And then that bullpen looks decent. And then J-Rod, I mean, who knows what he's going to give you this year. The dude could be MVP. So the Mariners are looking good. But I have Houston winning this division by 15 games.
Wow.
I have Houston with 101 wins and Seattle with 86.
Okay.
Houston is going to have a Cy Young this year. Whether it's Valdez or Javier, one of those two is winning Cy Young. Book it, mark my words.
All right.
Go put some money on it. You'll thank me later. They added Jose Abreu, who's going to be one of the biggest signings of the year. You got Jose Altuve. Granted, he'll miss about 2 months, but then you got Jeremy Pena, Alex Bregman, Yordan Alvarez. I think they still got Brantley. They got dudes. I hate to say it, but Houston's really good. We'll see him in the playoffs, maybe in the World Series. Yeah, Houston.
Yeah. Houston is.
Did I say the Angels suck?
No.
Oh, okay. Angels suck.
You did not. You did not say that.
I'm sorry.
Thanks for throwing that.
Nick, there's always hope. Just give them this year.
No, quit giving the Angels hope. You have the best. You've had the best player in baseball for years and can't do anything. You have the best player to ever be born, along with Mike Trout now, and you still can't even sniff the playoffs. They're just a sorry franchise that somehow beat Barry Bonds once upon a time.
Go ahead, Lucas.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, I will say, I think that was another massive positive of the World Baseball Classic, is getting to see Shohei, getting to see Trout, and how outstanding they are, to know how awful the Angels are. So hopefully, enough people saw that, enough people talked about it, that maybe some management for the Angels are like, okay, the whole world is seeing these two guys that we have. We ain't doing nothing. We either got to go out and make a lot of moves to be a really good team, or we just got to trade. If they're smart by this trade deadline, they got to do one or the other. They got to go all in and get a bunch of dudes, sign them up, or they just got to trade. They got to trade them. And it sucks. I would love to see Trout and Shohei win in LA. I would love to see it. As a baseball fan, I would love to see that. It's not going to happen until they either get a bunch of other dudes, which history has shown that has not happened. So they should probably just trade them. Anyways, Dylan, what were you going to say?
No, you actually pretty much said what I was going to say about those two. No, I was just about them too. They're the two best players in the world, and the Angels have them on the same team, but they still can't make the playoffs. So I mean, it's kind of pathetic. But I hopefully this year they can make it. Maybe they'll actually make the playoffs. But like you said, I think if they're bad by the deadline, they need to get rid of both of them, or at least get rid of Ohtani, because you're going to get a haul back for Ohtani. So
I think their over-under is 82.5. That is the easiest under ever. Go take it right now. You'll thank me later.
I agree. I'd probably hit the over on that too. Awesome. So now we're going to dive into some National League. So this is now down my alley a little bit. We got your AL. Now we're going to go into my NL here. So we will start NL East, Dylan. Start us out with the NL East. What'd you have?
All right. So I'll start at number 5 again. I got the Washington Nationals in last place. I just think losing Soto and losing pretty much your franchise, they're going into a rebuild. They got some good players from San Diego. So, I mean, hopefully the young guys can play well and they can just keep building it and rebuilding that team. So, and then in 4th place, I got the Marlins. I don't know if Ariz is going to really take them over the top, but I mean, they should be better. They added Gene Segura too. They still have Jazz Chisholm from last year and Jorge Soler. Hopefully they can have good years, bounce back years. And I just think their rotation is really good too, but I just don't think with how loaded that division is, it's hard to get into the playoffs with with those 3 other teams above them. So, and then in third, I got the Phillies. I know they're in the same spot as they were last year without Turner. Now this year they have Turner, but I think with Harper out till mid-season and Hoskins, I think, out for the whole year, I think.
Yeah, he's out.
So I just think that, I mean, Turner's a great player, but I don't know if he's going to – I just don't think that they're going to be – I think they'll be around what they were last year. So, in second place, I got the Mets. I think adding Verlander, adding some pitching, and, I mean, spending all that money, I mean, it helps to have the richest man in baseball owning the team. So,
yeah.
But I don't know. I just think they're pretty much the same team from last year. I mean, they lost DeGrom, but I think Verlander is, I mean, not in the same tier as DeGrom, but he's just as good as DeGrom. So I think him and Scherzer should be fine together. I mean, adding Kodai Senga is going to probably help too.
Yeah.
So, and then losing Diaz, I just think their bullpen isn't going to be as good as they think. So, and then for first place, I got the Atlanta Braves. I just think that they're the deepest team. Their rotation is great, and their lineup is loaded. So, I mean, I I don't know really what else to say about it. They just got a very deep team. Their rotation's good, bullpen's good, and the lineup is stacked. So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Obviously, I'm not going to get into it at the moment, but like the Atlanta Braves, I mean, that just they re-sign everyone for team-friendly deals, but also deals that don't really screw out the player either. So how they do it, but they do it. Nick, what'd you have for the NL East?
Well, we have 110 losses for the Nationals.
Oh. Oh boy.
52 and 110. That is Lucas, what is that?
That is probably in the toiletry realm.
That would be toiletry. I mean, I get it. They're rebuilding. I'm not going to trash on them any more than that. You know, however, you could literally have a starting 9 and probably even a decent rotation that would make the playoffs of just former Nationals in the last like 5 years. Rendon, Turner, Soto, Scherzer, Harper, so many guys. I mean, so many guys. It's just redonkulous. Anyways, Miami in fourth. My favorite twin a few years ago, Rosario, gone. Now my favorite twin last year, Luis Ariz, gone. Twins just keep doing it to me. So, but the Twins get to see Ariz in the second series of the year. And I hope that dude does good. I hope he hits moonshots like he did for Venezuela. He had 2 home runs in a game for the first time in his career. I mean, yeah, it's unlikely he's going to hit moonshots, but even if he does, that dude's one of the best hitters in baseball. I think it'll be a good trade for them and for us. They got Sandy Alcantara, probably the best pitcher in baseball, not named Jacob deGrom, when he's healthy. They got some good pieces over there. They always do. They always have some really good pieces. They just never have enough. I have them at 72 and 90. You flip that around, and I got the Mets at 90 and 72. They lost Diaz. That's going to hurt. They lost DeGrom. They're adding Verlander, who's almost just as good and is going to play more, so he's probably more valuable. And, yeah, you got the richest owner in baseball who's willing to spend a lot of money, but I just don't think they're as good as Atlanta. And Philly, it's very questionable. We'll see. But I have Philly edging them out by 1 game. They lost Rhys Hoskins for the year, and you only have Harper for a half year. So it's going to be hard for Philly to pass the Mets. I don't know. I trust in them more. I do. I just think they're going to kind of ride that playoff push from last year, and I think they're going to just find a way to eke out the Mets. I really just do. I don't have a great reasoning for it. I just think they will. However, Atlanta, I have winning by 12 games. You may think that's a surprise. That probably is. That's ridiculous. But I have Atlanta with the best record in all of baseball at 103 and 59. I can't say enough good things about this team. They're probably the best team in baseball, in my opinion. They're going to be a top 3 team in baseball for the next decade. I mean, they're just ridiculous. Michael Harris, Acuna, Albies, Riley. You lose Swanson. Oh no, what are we going to do? We have Von Grissom, Matt Olson, Max Fried, Spencer Strider, Mike Soroka, Ian Anderson. it's just ridiculous. And they have almost all of these guys locked up. So, yeah, I have the Braves at 103 and 59, and I don't think anybody's going to keep pace with them.
Yeah. I'll dive into my NL East. I have Washington. I'm going to rescind my toiletry comment and put them in the toilet conversation.
All right.
Only reason I'm doing this is because they are very, like you mentioned, very obviously are rebuilding. They have a lot of young people, a lot of young guys who they obviously haven't been around in the league long enough to find their footing, really. So based off of potential for the future, I see what Washington's doing. I understand what Washington's doing. I cannot put them in the toiletry conversation. We're just in the toilet conversation right now. Miami, I have at 4. Again, Nick, you mentioned it. They seem like they always have a few decent guys, but they don't have enough guys to be good. And I think that's going to be same this year. Alcantara is a beast. Arise is a beast. They have great players, but I think at the end of the day, it's just with how talented the NL East is. The top 3 teams, they're not gonna be able to compete. When it comes to the end of the year. Third place, I have the New York Mets finishing in 3rd here. I think for me at least, I have Mets 3rd, Phillies 2nd, Braves 1st. For me, Braves 1st was an easy pick for me. I didn't really have to think too much about that. It was then, who do I think is going to finish 2nd? Who do I think is going to finish 3rd? That I really struggled with. Harper you both mentioned, Harper being out for a while, Hoskins out for the year. I would like to see how they do. Obviously bringing in Trey Turner is big. Taijuan Walker's big. Craig Kimbrell in the back end of the rotation. Gregory Soto, who's a decent, he's an all right pitcher. We'll have to see how they do. But I just think I had them finishing above the Mets because kind of for the reason that Nick mentioned, I think they're just going to ride their playoff success. They're just going to ride it. And that may be a dumb reason, and the Mets may finish better, but the Mets are going to Met. The Mets are going to Met. They have in the past epic collapse year after year when they should be an elite team. But I still have them finishing in 3rd. That does not mean I don't have them in the playoffs. We'll get to that. Atlanta Braves, again, not enough great things can be said about how well their franchises ran. So many young players locked up for really great contracts, like mentioned before. And this is a team that, again, not in the next 10 years, next 15, next 20 years. I mean, Atlanta Braves had given me zero reason to think that this team should not be a contender for years to come, and they're going to be. That's why I have them finishing in 1st. So now we will go into the NL Central. Nick, I will have you start us off for the Central.
All right. NL Central, I'll start at the top of this one. I have the Cardinals in 1st. Repeat from last year. Actually, I think I have a repeat of the entire division from last year. I have the Cardinals in 1st, the Brewers in 2nd, the Cubs in 3rd, the Pirates in 4th, and Cincinnati in 5th. I can't remember where Pittsburgh and Cincy finished last year. The Cardinals are a very solid team. You have the best infield in baseball, probably. Definitely the best corner infield. Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado. You have Tommy Edman. And is Edman playing short this year? I have to look into that. I think Edman might be moving short this year. You have 3 very solid infielders. You got Tyler O'Neill, Dylan Carlson, Lars Nootbaar. You got all sorts of decent players. And they added Wilson Contreras now, who, as good as Yachty is, probably a future Hall of Famer. The last few years, he ain't as good as Wilson Contreras, at least not offensively, not even close. And then you have Wainwright still, and you got a decent amount of pitchers there. I mean, they're not as great pitching-wise as a lot of these other top-tier teams, but they're still a very solid team, and they're always good defensively. Milwaukee, probably the best 1-2 combo in baseball, or one of the best, with Burns and Woodruff. But unfortunately, with Freddie Peralta kind of disappearing last year, it's not as good of a rotation as it once looked like. And now you don't have Hader, although Devin Williams is arguably just as good. So you still have you still got good starters and a very good closer. You got Yelich, but the only way that I think the Brewers could even get close to the Cardinals is if Yelich somehow, some way went back to MVP form. And I don't see it happening. But you got a good hitting shortstop in Adames. They added a Contreras also. They got a good squad. I just don't think it's going to be as good as next year. And I'd be very worried if I were Brewers fans if it's not looking like a playoff spot is happening at the trade deadline. Corbin Burns will be traded, if not Woodruff also, because Burns is not happy there. I have the Cubs in third. Cubs did a lot this offseason. They're trying. Got to give it to them. They added Dansby. They added Bellinger. They added a couple more guys that are slipping my mind right now, but they added a lot of guys. However, I just don't think they have enough. And I like Dansby, but I think last year was a career year. I don't think he's anything too special. I have the Cubs at 78 and 84. Probably disappointing for Cubs fans, but I mean, they'll be competitive. I have Pittsburgh at 63 and 99, so not quite 100 losses, and I have Cincy at 62 and 100. I'm not going to go the toiletry route with both those teams, although they're probably but they're both definitely toilet.
Wow.
However, at least Pittsburgh has some excitement. O'Neal Cruz is alone exciting enough. Brian Hayes is decent, and then Brian Reynolds is a very good player over there. So you at least got a little bit of excitement over there. Cincy, you got comedy out of Joey Votto, and that's about it.
Got Edwin Diaz's brother.
They do have a really nice ballpark. I've been to Great America, and that's a heck of a ballpark.
Got the ballpark going for him. It's good. Good there.
Yeah.
So I'll dive into the Central here now. I have. Let's start bottom of the first. I have Pittsburgh finishing in fifth. I don't know. I mean, got some young. Neil Cruz is good. They're probably going to trade Brian Reynolds, but he currently is employed by the Pittsburgh Pirates, so I have to mention. David Bednar is solid in the back end of the rotation of the bullpen.
They'll get traded.
He will probably also get traded. Again, cool ballpark.
I would love to go there.
Cincinnati finishing in fourth. Again, Jonathan India is a solid player.
They got Hunter Green.
Yeah, well, the guy has a sub-5 ERA, then maybe we'll start talking.
Well, he's throwing 100-mile-an-hour juice every pitch at least. He's got something to watch.
Kill. Making about 60 balls with his pitch count, too. So I will still continue to have the Reds and Pirates in toiletry land.
Oh, all right.
Pittsburgh has been trying to should be rebuilding, even though they just refused to trade the big name guys. They got McCutchen left way too late. They should trade Brian Reynolds. If Brian Reynolds,
don't they have McCutchen back?
Well, they brought him back,
yeah.
But when he was still, towards the end of his first reign there, if Brian Reynolds is a Pittsburgh Pirate past the trade deadline, automatically putting Pittsburgh in toiletry realm for next season. I don't even need to see anything else.
This should just be a segment like on all our podcasts now. Toilet or toiletry?
Yeah, it should. It should. Reds also putting them in toiletry land. They
give them some Pampers.
Nothing. I mean, yeah. Reds have been trying to rebuild the last few years, but nothing's been going. They're just stalling. So, congratulations, you've earned a spot to the Toiletry Express. Third place, I have the Chicago Cubs. They signed a few guys this offseason. I like what they did. I like the moves that they made. I just don't think that they're going to compete with the Brewers and Cardinals at the end of the day. Couple of years, maybe they're back up to the Cubs that we had been seeing in the recent past. So I have Cubs finishing in third. Second place, I have the Milwaukee Brewers. For me, they made a few decent signings that I like. They lost a decent amount of guys as well too. But again, Nick, you mentioned it. If the Milwaukee Brewers want to win the division and want to be a legit contender, Yelich has got to figure it out. He's got to figure it out. I am almost at the point. If Yelich blows again this year, you probably think about trying to trade him or get rid of him in the offseason because he's provided nothing to this team for the last 2 years now. After he signed that massive contract, I hate giving up on a guy that early into a contract, but we haven't seen him. Him and Cody Bellinger, both ghosts. Saw the Dodgers finally cut the cord with Cody Bellinger. Dude you want to talk about lost. That dude was lost the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Finally, he went to the Cubs. Maybe a new change of scenery will help. I think I'll give Yelich a little bit more of a leash, just because I think if he doesn't dislocate his knee, I think that is a large reason as to why he had some of his struggles. So we'll see what happens. But anyways, Milwaukee's got to be good. They got to do something. If Milwaukee's out of it by the trade deadline, they got to get rid of Corbin Burns because dang well he ain't gonna he is not coming back to Milwaukee in the offseason. So you got to trade him if you're out of it. If you're in it, you got to keep him on the team. Cut your losses at the end of the year. But that's what you got to do there. And then Brandon Woodruff as well too, as a stud pitcher. So I think they'll hang around. I don't think they'll really do anything significant that shows to get first place. And then the St. Louis Cardinals. Again, it seemed like the World Baseball Classic was filled with St. Louis Cardinals. It's almost every single team, I think, had some type of representation from St. Louis to one degree or another. It felt like for sure. I have them finishing in first. I just think this team overall is still really good. Adam Wainwright, very old, still a decent pitcher. He's still not a bad pitcher. Miles Michaelis is pretty solid. Flaherty's pretty decent as well too, and they got some good bullpen guys in Helsley, Hicks. And then the plethora of field guys that they have too. Goldschmidt, my boy Nolan. This always pains me to talk about Nolan Arenado and not being in a Colorado uniform. But, anyways, we've already had that pity party.
I bet it doesn't pain him to not be in a Colorado uniform.
Oh no, no, it does not pain him one bit. Not one bit. So I have Cardinals finishing first. Dylan, what does your NL Central look like?
I'll start from the bottom. I got the Reds finishing in last. I just think they're in a rebuild too. So are the Pirates. I'm gonna be just like you guys. They're both the Reds and Pirates are in toiletry, whatever you want to say.
Okay, all right.
Ron, you have to pick. You're either toilet or toiletry. You have to classify it. It's important.
Okay, well they're both toiletry then.
Ooh,
that better?
He's going all the way down to toiletry. All the way down to toiletry.
So, and at least the Reds, at least they decided that they're gonna trade some of their veteran players. Pirates are just like, no, we'll just hold on to the best player on our team, even though he wants to get traded. So the Reds at least have something for them. They at least have some decent young guys. So, but yeah, I got the Reds in fifth, Pirates in fourth. The Cubbies made a few moves. I mean, they might be decent. I don't know if they're playing for this year, but they signed Dansby and Tyone and Bellinger, and so maybe they're in a couple years, maybe they'll be back up there with St. Louis. And then I got Milwaukee in second. We'll see. I mean, when you got a three-headed monster at the front of your rotation, I mean, that's pretty good with Burns, Woodruff, and Peralta. So, I mean, you lose Hader, but you got probably one of the other better closers in baseball now, too, in Devin Williams. So, and then I got the Cardinals in first. I just think they're a deeper team. They just got the better team all around out of the Central teams. So with Arenado and Goldschmidt, you're going to be good every year. So but yeah, so those are my picks.
So we all got the Central finishing the same.
I think that was probably was the easiest division.
I mean, I think the only debate is who gets last between Pittsburgh and Cincy.
Right.
Who's more toilet? Yeah.
Toiletry, not toilet.
Yeah,
well, I was nice for this.
Nick's a little bit nicer.
True.
Well, I wasn't last year. I called Pittsburgh toiletry many times last year. I'm a bump him up the toilet and be a little nicer to him.
Nick is feeling Pittsburgh. He's feeling Pittsburgh a little more to get him out of the toiletry realm. Dylan and I, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Let's just move on to the other division so we can debate who's whether a team's toilet or toiletry there.
Well, I'll be honest. I'm fine with skipping the West. Skipping the playoff predictions.
You're not getting out of that one.
NL West. I'm gonna go last because I would love to hear what you guys have to say.
I see. All right, I'll go first.
Yep, go ahead.
The NL West. All right. Well, let's start from the bottom.
Okay. Los Angeles Dodgers.
Drum roll, please. Yeah, we got the Rockies. The only question with this team, are they A, toilet, or are they B, toiletry? I'll go with toilet. They got some guys over there, all right? Brendan Rodgers just got hurt, but CJ Cron's pretty good. They got Kyle Freeland. He was on a WBC roster. They got a couple rookies that I've never even really heard of, but I think they're supposed to be decent. They got a ballpark that is kind of cool, I think, right? I mean,
I love the ballpark. Love Coors Field.
They got a fan in my annoying roommate. Oh wait, did I say that? No, I'm just kidding. That's about all the Colorado.
See what I have to deal with, Dylan?
I see what happens.
That's about all Colorado's got going for them. But they always seem to be decent offensively. No matter how toilet or toiletry this team is, they always seem to at least be decent offensively to hold their own, to avoid the 100-loss plateau. I have them at 67 and 95. So, that's good enough for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, tied for sixth worst. Well, pat yourself on the back and say good work, Colorado, for that. All right. Next, we have Arizona in fourth. I have Arizona at 74 and 88. I have a feeling at the end of the year I might look back at this and just say that is criminal. That's just insanely low. This team has potential to be really good. I think this team has potential to even make the playoffs, possibly. They had a lot of young guys last year that looked decent, that are poised to, maybe even do better this year. You got Christian Walker, who hit I believe 34, 35 home runs last year. Imagine if he can get his batting average a little up. You got maybe the most exciting rookie this year in Corbin Carroll, who a lot of people are picking to get Rookie of the Year. And you got two really good pitchers. One really good pitcher in Zach Gallen, and then Merrill Kelly's pretty decent too. So the Diamondbacks have potential. We'll see what happens there, but I think they're a ways out yet. I'm going to go 74 and 88. You have the Giants. Now they're trying. But boy, what a tough offseason. They thought they had Judge. They didn't. They thought they had Correa. They kind of did. Then they didn't. And it's a very, there's a lot of old guys there, although they just lost Belt. They lost Longoria, so they're not as old. But they're always competitive, at least. They play in probably the best ballpark in baseball. You got Logan Webb, who's solid. They got two twins in the bullpen, as in literal twins, Taylor and Tyler Rogers, who are decent.
And one former Minnesota Twin.
Yep. But they'll be all right. But I have them at 80 and 82. And now here's the question, and I really want to know who you guys got first and second. between the Dodgers and Padres. I'll just start off talking with the Padres. I'll talk about each and then say where I got them. I'll start with the Padres. I'm literally, I have MLB.com, I have MLB Network on in the background, or no, I think it's ESPN, but it was Baseball Tonight. I think all three of them predicted the Padres in the World Series, 2 of them winning. Most predictions I see Padres to win the NL. Look, the Padres are good. They're probably the best first 4 hitters I've ever seen in a lineup. I mean, this has potential to be like Murderer's Row in the front 4. You're talking Fernando Tatis Jr., Manny Machado, Juan Soto, and Bogarts. That's just ridiculous. Not to mention one of them's a lefty to mix in there. And then you got Cronenworth, who's decent. Grisham, I think they still got. He's decent. And then you got like Yu Darvish had a real resurgence last year out of the pitching. And then Blake Snell, Joe Musgrove. They got a really solid team over there. But then you got the Dodgers. A lot of them aren't that high on the Dodgers this year, at least not compared to normal. I get it. You lost Turner. You lost a lot of guys, including Buehler, who's having a second Tommy John. But look, it's the Dodgers. Just trust them, all right? They always, maybe not in the playoffs. They've only won 1 World Series in the last decade, despite the fact they've been the best team in the league almost every year. But they always will find a way to win. You still got Gratterall and a couple of guys back in the bullpen. You got Kershaw who's going to do his thing. Julio Urias is still the most underrated pitcher in baseball. You got Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts, who are 2 top 10 players probably. Yeah, they lost Turner. That's going to hurt. They lost Lux also for the year. But they're still solid, all right? They got Will Smith. They got a good catcher. I have the Dodgers at first and the Padres second. I have the Dodgers at 96 wins and the Padres at 95. I know the Padres should probably get more than that, but look, until they prove it to me, I'm not going to count on it. They're kind of like the Mets. They're all talk. There's going to be all really good. They got all these players, but guess what? They never prove it. Up until the Padres won that one playoff series, they've really never proven anything these last few years, and I'm going to wait for them to prove it until I predict them going, far. So there we have it.
Dylan, let's hear it. NL West.
All right. I'll start from the bottom as well.
LA Dodgers.
I wish. No, I got the Rockies in last. I really don't know. I haven't really been keeping track on them. They got, like Nick said, CJ Cron and Cal Freeland, and they got one of my players on my fantasy team, Jerkson Profar. They signed, so I mean,
wait,
hopefully he'll have
him?
I did, yeah.
Right, you took him from me. How dare you, Ron?
I did. You took some other players, so we'll get into that another time.
This dude made me bet $81 for Shohei Ohtani, but the rest of my team's ruined now. Thanks a lot, Dylan.
Come on, man. He's 2 players, man, and he's so valuable in our league.
2 players at $72, not $81. Thanks a lot.
Well, you should have just bowed out at $72.
You should have. If you really did want him.
Last year, I'm not letting him have that satisfaction 2 years in a row, all right? But then he doesn't let me go sneak a Profar for like $1. Nope, it's got to bid him up too. Thanks a lot, Dylan.
Yep. You're going all in, Nick. That's all right. You got the star-studded team. It's all right.
Yeah, I hope you get last place, Dylan.
So not finishing him last.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they'll be very good. So that's my take on the Rockies.
They won't. They won't.
All right.
Saving your breath there. They won't.
Right.
The question every year is who wins more games? The baseball team in Colorado or the hockey team, which plays half as many games? And a lot of times it's the hockey team.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, the Rockies or the Avs and Wild are about to play an incredibly huge game any minute here. Go Wild.
Go Avs, go.
Go Wild.
Yes.
Hey.
Also go Timberwolves.
All right. They play the Lakers Friday. Let's not get carried away.
Yeah, they're going to smack down on your boy LeBron. They're going to pull the Pat Bev and still it's too small on him. So
all right. Let's just go back to talking about
all right, we're going back to baseball. Sorry. All right, and then in 4th place, I got the Diamondbacks. I just think they're a young team too. They're rebuilding too. I don't think there's a possibility they could do a Baltimore like they did last year, and they could be that. But I I still don't think. I think they'll be under 500 or around 500, under 500. They got some good young players. They traded Dalton Varsho, and they got back the best catching prospect in baseball, plus Lourdes Gurriel. So, I mean, I think they're a rebuilding team. So they got a bright future. In third place, I got the Giants. They signed our former closer or setup man, whatever you want to call him, Taylor Rogers. They signed a couple decent players, Haniger and some pitching. They got Logan Webb. I mean, it sucks to lose out on Judge and Correa, but
they lost Rodon.
And they lost Rodon too. So I mean, their front office, I guess, said, no, we're not going to take Correa. So, but good for the Twins. But yeah, I got them finishing third, and then in second place, I actually have the Padres as well.
Yes, good work, Dylan.
Thank you. I just think they got a good team. They're star-studded, but I don't know, with their rotation, Darvish is good, Musgrove's good, Snell has been shaky, but after that, they really don't have much. So, and then that takes me to the Dodgers, who I have winning this division. I mean, they're the Dodgers. They're good every single year. Probably one of the best teams in baseball every year. I just think that with losing Turner sucks, but I mean, Mookie and Freddie, and I mean, that rotation is still going to be pretty solid. So, and the bullpen's pretty decent too. So,
Dylan, I think for like 3 more minutes you should talk about how good the Dodgers are, because I love looking at Lucas's little face.
No, I'm gonna end it at that. I think I'm good.
Yeah, do you want to come back on the show again, Dylan?
Yes, I do. I'll end it right there. So those are my picks.
Yeah.
Last place?
So we'll just get into it. Last place, NL West. Colorado Rockies. No shock there by anyone.
Oh, sad.
You have a bad owner when somebody asks him what your goal is for this season. Not to rebuild, not to be top of the team. Just want to finish 500. That's an exact quote. We want to finish 500.
He wants to be the Dallas Cowboys.
You don't want to at least lie. Lie and say our goal is to be a World Series team. Lie. At least just lie. You know? No. Our goal is to be a 500 team. Okay.
Oh, man.
Hey, that's better than the Reds and the Pirates, at least.
Hey, they're 500 right now.
True.
500 right now, baby.
That's very true.
Undefeated.
Yeah, have yet to lose a game this year. It just same inept Rockies. I love Bud Black. I am a ginormous Bud Black fan, and I feel so sorry that he has to put out a poop-stained toilet of a lineup out every single day when he knows dang well
you're getting beyond toiletry right now.
Nothing positive is going to come from it.
Well, Chris Bryant hit a home run at Coors Field this year.
Who knows? I would like to say yes, but he played 40 games last year and didn't do that. So I don't know.
Oh, man.
We have some younger guys that I think by the end of the season, I could be excited for their future. I could. And there are some guys where I am. But as a Colorado Rockies fan, it's hard to get attached to any player because they will probably, once they become good, will get traded at any moment for nothing. Or, that's A. B is we don't trade them when we should.
See Trevor Story.
Leave in free agency, get nothing. See Trevor Story and John Gray. Okay. DJ LeMahieu.
Hey, How about that Arenado trade, huh? How's Austin Gomber looking?
Worst trade in baseball history. Speaking of the Nolan Arenado trade, fun fact, one of the prospects that we got back in that deal, we just traded away already.
Nice.
So
Good
Austin
work,
Gomber
Colorado.
has been a solid number 5 starter for us.
Solid number 5 for Nolan Arenado, 8-time Platinum Glove winner.
Yeah, Elehuris Montero we got back. He should be okay. But, yeah. The day we traded Nolan Arenado was the last day I stopped being emotional towards the Colorado Rockies.
You could be a fan of the team who traded everything and everyone for Herschel Walker and gave the Cowboys like 2 Super Bowls, 3.
But here's the thing with that is that picks were involved in that trade to help the Cowboys. We gave an already with a pick, it's a gamble, right? You draft someone, maybe they'll be great, maybe they won't. You don't know. You're hoping they will if you're trading a Herschel Walker. We knew what we had. We already had the best third baseman in baseball. When it's all said and done, potentially the best third baseman in baseball history.
Did you give them cash on top of it?
Oh, yeah. So St. Louis Cardinals, hey, we feel so bad for giving you Nolan Arenado. We just are sickened and lose sleep at night, quite frankly, knowing that he will have to put on your jersey. So because of that, we're going to give you $50 million as well.
Here's some money. Go celebrate your fleecing of us at the most expensive restaurant you can find.
I mean, just horrid. Horrid. I could have a whole podcast talking about the awful things with the Rockies, but that's not good.
I'm thoroughly enjoying this
for anyone's mental health, so I'm going to refrain from doing that. Rockies, fun fact, Dylan, I don't know if you knew this, have never lost 100 games in a season.
Which is baffling.
Wow.
Have never lost. And we have had some bad teams. And that's bad with like 5 A's.
I kind of sound smart now. I said they always have at least a decent enough offense to avoid that 100-loss plateau. Yep. I guess I was right. Heck yeah.
We'll start off good in April. Rockies, if the MLB season lasted a month, the Rockies would never miss the playoffs. We might have a few World Series, honestly. Rockies always start so well in April. They're okay in May, suck in June, July, and August. And then September, they play like 500 ball. That is the theme every single year as a Colorado Rockies fan.
They just wait for the nice summer months, and then they all go on vacation and forget they're supposed to play baseball.
Anyways, I don't need to talk about the Rockies anymore. I'm going off about a fifth place team. Sure? They're the most talked about fifth place team on this podcast right now, and it shouldn't be that way. So I'm going to move on and talk about the other actual MLB franchises, not the booty cheek, toiletry, poop stain Colorado Rockies.
Man, they're on a whole nother level than Oakland.
Anyways. Arizona Diamondbacks. I have them finishing in 4th place. Dylan, you mentioned it, and I agree 1,000%. I think they have potential to be the Baltimore Orioles of the NL. I think they have a lot of really young guys. If it wasn't for the division that they were in, I might consider giving them a much better position in the standings, potentially a playoff spot. They have a lot of really young players, but they also have a few, decent anchor pitchers as well too. Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly. Again, next World Baseball Classic, can we please get some better pitchers? I don't want to have to watch Merrill Kelly pitch a deciding game in the championship to see if USA wins or not. Anyways.
Well, when a Colorado Rockies in the World Baseball Classic, there's an issue then. Kyle Freeland.
Hey, he gave up the home run. Besides that, balled. He balled. Colorado boy.
All right,
Anyways,
sure.
not talking about the Rockies. Not talking about the Rockies. So I had Diamondbacks finishing in fourth. Giants finishing in third. Again, if the Giants are in any other division, probably finishing first or second, probably making the playoffs. I love what Gabe Kapler does as a manager. I'm a huge fan of his. He knows how to manage a roster very, very well. But I just think at the end of the day, they're not going to compete with the Padres or the Dodgers. So I have them finishing in third. I don't have them making the playoffs, but I could see them potentially maybe squeaking into that third wild card spot, even though I don't have that. And then for second and first. So second, I have the Padres. And then I have the Dodgers finishing in first place. Again, Dodgers have yet to give me a reason why I shouldn't pick them to finish first. Absolutely pains me as a Colorado Rockies fan. Hate the Dodgers. Hate them. Despise them. I want to pick against them. You have no idea how bad I want to pick against the Dodgers to not win the division, but I can't. They have yet to give me a reason to not. So I'm picking them to win, finish first. They're probably going to have a Rookie of the Year contender by the time the season's over. It seems like every year Dodgers have some outstanding rookie that finishes top 3 in voting. So they'll probably have one again this year. But I have the Padres finishing in second. They have a lot of great players. I'll be interested to see how they all do playing with each other this year in a full season. But at the end of the day, it's just I trust LA more than I do San Diego. I think the Padres on paper, Padres on paper have a better roster, but I don't trust them as much as I do the Dodgers.
Yep.
I have LA finishing in first.
Same here.
So now the fun part, we are going to dive into the playoffs here, do some playoff predictions. So I think the best way to do this, we'll just go round by round. So we'll start in the American League. Dylan, why don't you give me, so it'd be the 3rd and 6th seed versus your 4 and 5 seed for the American League. So I think the wild card.
Okay, for my 3-6 matchup, I actually have the Guardians against the Twins. And then I actually have the Twins actually winning that series.
Whoa!
So,
all right, Ron. Whoa.
And yep.
Whoa.
Wow.
Not a game. A series?
They're winning a series. I got them winning a series.
Wow.
And then in my other matchup, I have the Yankees against the Mariners, and I actually have the Mariners sweeping that.
Sweeping them. Get out your brooms.
Yep. So.
Okay.
And then my top, I had the Astros as my top seed and the Blue Jays as the number 2 seed. So that's my wild card prediction.
All right.
Okay, Nick, let's hear it. What'd you have for the AL?
Well, I have the Twins winning the division, so they're my 3 seed versus the 6 seed Seattle. I do not have the Twins winning that. I cannot pick them to win a series until they prove to me. But I have them winning 1 game. Seattle in 4. Twins. Lucas, you were talking about your owner's goal. You know, I've gotten to the point, my goal, obviously the goal every year is the World Series, but honestly, just win me 1 playoff game. Just 1. Please. 17 in a row in baseball where the worst team beats the best team all the time. How? Just how? Just win me 1 playoff game. Just 1. That's all I'm asking. Please. Anyways, Toronto versus Cleveland in the 4-5 matchup, and I have Toronto in a tough, tested 5-game series. Okay. And I had the Yankees with the 1 seed and Houston with the 2.
Okay. So I will dive into mine now. So for my 3-6 matchup in the American League, I also have the Cleveland Guardians as the 3 seed. I did not have the Minnesota Twins making the playoffs. So I have Cleveland at the 3 seed. I actually had the Texas Rangers sneaking in at 6.
I'd love to see them back in the playoffs.
That may be a little bit out there of a pick. Maybe it's a dark horse pick. But I have Texas out there. I know it's a large if people stay healthy, because there are a lot of people on that team that haven't for the last few years. But truly, if this team stays healthy, I think this is a playoff roster. I really do. So I have Texas at the 6th seed. I do have Cleveland, however, winning that matchup. I think at the end of the day, I'm going to go with Cleveland. I could see that series going the distance, so I have Cleveland winning. My 4-5 matchup, I have Seattle going against Toronto in that. So similar to last. Yep. So similar to last year, I actually have Seattle winning that matchup between the two. So I would love to see that. Seattle has a very passionate fan base, as does Toronto, and I would love to see Seattle have some success. So I have them winning, and then I have the Yankees and Houston as my 1 and 2 seeds respectively, for the American League. So going to the National League now, wild card side, Nick, if you want to start us off, what were your matchups looking like?
St. Louis is the 3 versus the Mets, the 6. I'll take the Mets winning that one in 5.
Okay.
With Scherzer and Verlander in a 5-game series, you're probably going to see one of them twice for sure, and the other one once. I'll take the Mets. I don't think the Cardinals have enough starting pitching to beat them in a series. Then I have San Diego 4 versus Philly 5, which I believe is a rematch. I'll say San Diego gets their revenge this year and takes them out in 4. Oh, and then I have Atlanta 1 and the Dodgers 2.
All right. I'll dive into mine, Dylan. I'll let you close us out on that side there. So I'll go into mine here. For my 3 and 6, I also have St. Louis as the 3 going against the Mets as the 6 for that. However, I have St. Louis coming out on top for it. We saw DeGrom and Scherzer last year in the playoffs, and they did not pitch well. So bringing in Verlander, obviously a more established veteran, even though Scherzer is not that far behind them in that realm. I think at the end of the day, and Dylan, you kind of mentioned this earlier when we were going through the NL Central. St. Louis just has an incredibly deep team. They have a very deep roster. And I think I trust St. Louis at the end of the day when maybe they have to go to that, 13th guy on the bench to try and do something. I think I trust them more than the Mets. Obviously, in the playoffs, you get into a lot of those situations where you're sometimes you're going to need other dudes to step up. And I think I trust St. Louis to do that more. I wouldn't be shocked if the Mets win that series. I could definitely see the Mets winning. Just for this, I think I trust St. Louis a little bit more in this. And then for the 4-5, I actually have Philadelphia going against San Diego in that. Bryce Harper will come back at some point during the year. I don't know when that'll be, but he is going to come back, and that'll be massive. With already hoping Real Muto's balling, Trey Turner's balling, Schwarber's balling, those boys. Rhys Hoskins is going to be tough, and maybe Philadelphia makes a move at the trade deadline to acquire a first baseman. Maybe they try and get a guy and throw him over there. Maybe on like a 1-year rental type deal. I have Philadelphia winning that series. Again, I think San Diego probably has a better roster in that matchup. But I San Diego has proven nothing to me. They haven't. And who am I, some dude that works at a college, why San Diego Padres should have to prove anything to me. But they haven't shown up when it matters. They haven't shown up when it matters. So I have Philadelphia winning that. And then I have the Dodgers as my 1 seed and Atlanta as my 2 seed. Dylan, let's hear your NL side.
My NL side, my 3-6. I actually didn't know this till I put my predictions together, but I have the exact same 3-6 and 4-5 matchup as last year. So I have my 3-6 as the Cardinals against the Phillies, but I have the Cardinals beating the Phillies this time. And then in my 4-5, I have the Mets against the Padres, and I have the Padres edging out the Mets in that one. And then I have Atlanta as my 1 seed and the Dodgers as a 2.
We're really similar in the NL.
Mm-hmm. All right. So now let's go into our divisional round matchups. I'll start us off with this. So I have Houston playing Cleveland in this matchup. I have Houston winning. I just think top to bottom, Houston is a better team. No shade at Cleveland. I could definitely see it potentially going the series. But I just, again, Houston coming off of a World Series win, they always have the next dude mentality stepping up. I think that in a way, they're kind of the Los Angeles Dodgers of the American League. One guy gets hurt, another guy steps in and does just as well. So I have Houston winning that series. And then I have the Yankees going against Seattle. Would love to pick Seattle. I would love to pick Seattle in that series. I don't think I can. Again, assuming everyone in New York is healthy, I think New York is going to win that. So I have the Yankees winning that series against the Seattle Mariners. Dylan, let's hear your American League.
My American League divisional, I have the Astros facing the Mariners, and I actually have the Mariners pulling off the upset and beating Houston. Yes.
All right.
And then my other matchup, I have the Blue Jays against the Twins, and I have the Blue Jays winning that one and moving into the championship round.
All right.
So
I have 2 divisional matchups in the divisional round. I have the 1 seed Yankees versus 4 seed Toronto. That would be a heck of a series. I have the Yankees winning in 4. I just think the Yankees are going to be pretty dominant come playoff time. Then I have another divisional matchup, Houston versus Seattle, as Dylan does. That would be a very intriguing matchup too. And again, I just think Houston has too much, and I have them winning in 4.
Okay. Moving over to the National League Division Series. Nick, why don't you start us out with that?
So I have Atlanta versus the 4 San Diego. San Diego, like you said, has a lot of firepower, but Atlanta's got a deeper team and just a better team and honestly more experienced team come playoff time now. And I have Atlanta in 4. Then I have Dodgers versus Mets. This could be a heck of a series.
Yeah.
LA versus New York, 2 giant cities going at it. I have the Dodgers in a tough battle in 5.
Okay, Dylan, let's hear it.
Wait, is divisional round still best of 5? Yeah, it is, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah.
All right. My divisional round, I have the number 1 seed Atlanta Braves taking on the Padres, and I have the Braves winning that one. That one going to 5, and have Atlanta moving on. And then I have the Dodgers against the Cardinals in my other one, and I have that one also going to 5, but I have the Dodgers moving on it.
A lot of really intriguing matchups, I think, in the National League. I think there's a lot of really, really fun matchups potentially that could happen if everything finishes how we think it might. For my National League, I have the 2 seed Atlanta Braves going up against the St. Louis Cardinals. I have Atlanta winning that series. Seattle's got a lot. St. Louis has got a lot of dudes. Very deep team, but Atlanta, so many young players, and everyone produces. It does not matter what their role on the team is. Every single player produces. So I have Atlanta winning that. And then Dodgers going up against Philadelphia. I would like to pick Philly to win. They might. I have the Dodgers winning, however. So I have a Dodgers Atlanta championship series for that. So now let's just get into both championship series, AL and NL. Dylan, if you want to start us off, what did your championship series look like?
Okay, I have in the AL, I have the Mariners against the Blue Jays, and I actually have the Blue Jays sneaking that one out, going to 7 games, and I have the Blue Jays going to the World Series. And for my other one, yep. And then my other championship matchup, I have the Braves against the Dodgers, and I actually have that one going 7 games as well, but I have the Braves sneaking that one out. I just think the Braves have the better team.
That'd be a good World Series.
So
Braves Toronto, that'd be a fun one.
Yep.
That'd be a fun one. All right, Nick, let's hear it.
First off, I realized I screwed up earlier. The wild card round's best of 3, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. I said Mets in 5. They'll get Scherzer and Verlander 3 of the 5. I messed that up. Those are out of 3, but I'll still stick to Seattle winning and the Mets winning. Anyways, my championship series, I have the 1 versus 2, Yankees versus Houston. There's absolutely no reason why I should pick the Yankees. Houston's beat the Yankees countless times over the last few years, and they might honestly just be the better team, but I don't know. I think maybe I just kind of want to be different. It's kind of boring picking Houston every time, and I think maybe this will be the Yankees' year. We'll take the Yankees in 6 over Houston.
You traitor.
I mean, hey, the Yankees haven't won a World Series since like 2009. They haven't even been to one since then. So it's like my hate's slowly going away. I hate Houston more now. But yeah, I mean, I deserve that. And then I also have the 1 versus the 2 in the NL, the Braves versus the Dodgers. And I actually have the Braves winning this in 5. I think the Braves are going to go right into LA and take care of business.
For my AL-NL side, I have the Yankees playing Houston. I'm picking the Yankees.
Damn.
I know.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Dylan's gonna just leave this podcast right now.
Nope, it's all good.
I have the Yankees winning. I think finally this is the year that they kind of make that hurdle. They leap that hurdle, get to the World Series. This is their time. This is their time to do it, and they have no excuses to not. Obviously, Houston's a very good squad. If they lost to them, I don't think anyone would be shocked. Yankees need to make the World Series, or else they gotta start making some other changes because it's getting ridiculous at this point. And then the National League, I have the Dodgers going up against Atlanta. I also have Atlanta winning that series.
You and Lucas are looking pretty similar here.
Yep, no shock there. No shock there. But yeah, I have Atlanta winning. I think this series could also go 7 games. I hope it goes 7 games. That would be amazing. But I think at the end of the day, with the hopeful struggles that the Dodgers I could foresee having in the pitching department with some injuries, some loss of some guys, Urias is going to be a tank for the Dodgers this year. I have no doubt about that. Kershaw is still going to ball. But I just trust Atlanta pitching a heck of a lot more right now than I do the LA Dodgers. And that's kind of was the main deciding factor for me why I chose them. Main 2 things. My team's winning the playoffs, good pitching and timely hitting. And I think the Braves have both of those. So I have Atlanta winning, facing the Yankees in the World Series. So I will start us off, World Series predictor here for this one. Atlanta Yankees, little 1996 rematch, I believe, is when both of those two teams face off against each other in the World Series. I have Atlanta winning. I have Atlanta winning the World Series. I had that going 6. I just think the plethora of talent, you could say young talent, but at the end of the day, it's just talent. They have so much talent everywhere in every department on that team. Snicker's an outstanding manager. I love everything that he does with Atlanta. And again, pitching, I think Garrett Cole's a dog. But we haven't really seen Rodon in the playoffs, so we don't know how that'll look like. So I have Atlanta winning. I have Atlanta winning the World Series. Dylan, we're gonna have you close us out. So Nick, I'm gonna have you go second. Who do you have?
Well, it's a good thing we brought Dylan on here because me and Lucas can just never seem to disagree on anything. I also have the Braves. I also have them in 6 games. They're gonna win me $800 also, and Matt Olson, World Series MVP. Throwing that out there now.
Okay. Dylan?
All right. In my matchup, I got the Blue Jays against the Braves, and I actually have the Braves winning in 6 as well.
Wow.
Braves in 6. Dang.
So,
I'm feeling confident about my $100 bet on them now.
I just think that would be a good series too. I just think they've been there before, and I just think that Toronto's a good up and coming team, but I just think Atlanta's got them beat. So.
Oh, we're all on the Braves. Interesting.
All
right. So, good job, everyone, picking the same pick. That was not planned, folks.
I did not know that.
Did not know that. So, we will go into some award predictions now, starting with our American League, National League MVPs. Dylan, who did you have?
My AL MVP, I got Vladdy winning that one. Vladdy Jr. winning that one. I just think they're gonna have a good year this year, and I think he's gonna have I think he's gonna have just as good of a year as he had 2 years ago when he missed out on the MVP to Shohei. I just think that lineup is just so good, and I think he's just gonna mash. So. Yeah. And then my NL MVP, I actually have Ronald Acuna Jr.
Good pick. Nice pick.
So I just think he's just the same as Vladdy. He's a stud. I think he could be a possible 30-30 guy, maybe even 40-40. So I'd have to say it. When he's healthy, he's one of the best, if not the best, in the National League. So.
Yeah.
Nick, what'd you have?
Well, I didn't go out on too much of a limb. I put Shohei for MVP. The dude just does it all, and if he stays healthy, I think he'll get MVP. And then in the National League, I took the guy who somehow doesn't have a National League MVP yet, but has been darn close. I took Juan Soto.
I like it.
Love to see him get one.
My American League, National League are as follows. I have Shohei Ohtani in the American League winning. I think if Aaron Judge did not hit all the home runs that Aaron Judge hit last year, Ohtani probably would have won it. Potentially Vladdy. Vladdy also had an outstanding year. A lot of people kind of forget that as well, too. But I have Ohtani winning. National League, I also have Ronald Acuna Jr. winning it. If it was not for getting injured and then coming back from injury the last couple seasons, very well could have already an MVP under his plate. Unfortunate sometimes with those injuries, but so that's what I have.
If Tatis didn't miss 32 or 28 games, whatever it was, I'd pick him, but he's missing a month.
Yep. AL/NL Cy Young Award. I will start us off with that one. AL, I have Garrett Cole. I think, not to say that he hasn't put it together for the Yankees, but I don't think we've seen what Garrett Cole is truly capable of, like we saw with Houston. The year with him and Verlander was outstanding. So I have Cole winning in the AL, And then National League, I think the man's playing for a huge contract, playing to get the hell out of Milwaukee. I think Corbin Burnes is going to win NL Cy Young for the National League. Dylan, let's hear your Cy Young Award winners.
My AL Cy Young, I have Shohei Ohtani winning that. I just think he's going to have a good year hitting and pitching, but I think his pitching went up a lot last year and then from the year before, so I think his pitching is going to be on par, and I think he's just going to have an all-around good year. And then for my NL Cy Young, it's actually the same as Lucas. I have Mr. Corbin Burnes winning Cy Young for the National League. So.
All right, Nick. Let's hear it. What's your Cy Young looking like?
Sorry, my iPad's dying. I gotta go charge it. There we go. All right, my Cy Young. I have, like I said, it's gonna be an Astro. It's gonna be Valdez or Javier. I'm gonna go with Framber Valdez. Then in the National League, I'm going to go with Spencer Strider, who was an absolute savage on the mound last year. The dude had like a 14 K through 9. Now, he was out of the bullpen for a little bit of that. I'm a little concerned with this because it sounds like they might not even let him get to 200 innings. But if he gets anywhere close to that, I think you'll see how dominant this dude is. And I have him with Cy Young.
I like it. I need the people that I pick to win MVP and Cy Young to win, because if so, I will have flipped a $10 wager into $18,000.
Good luck with that.
I am kind of shocked. Ronald Acuna, as of when I went last Saturday to make this bet, plus 1,000 odds to win NL MVP, plus 1,000.
Yeah, that's shocking to me.
That was wild to me. I'm like, just for that alone, I gotta put him in this parlay. So here's to hopefully 18,000. To see. But so now we'll go into Rookie of the Year voting. So let's hear it. Dylan, you want to start us off?
Yeah. So for my AL Rookie of the Year, I have Anthony Volpe from the Yankees. I know a popular pick for that is Gunnar Henderson. I think he's going to have a good year too, but I think Volpe, is just going to, in that lineup with the Yankees, in batting leadoff, I think, or maybe not, I could be wrong, but I just think in that lineup, I think he's going to have a really good year. And then NL Rookie of the Year, I have Corbin Carroll from the Diamondbacks. I just think he had a good, he came up last year, played well last year in his stint, and I think he's just going to have a all-around good year. So.
All right, Nick, let's hear it.
My American League Rookie of the Year, I have the same as Dylan, Anthony Volpe, for the same exact reasons. He's got a lot of protection in the Yankee lineup. He's going to start opening day. I got Volpe. Rookie of the Year in the National League, I went kind of out on a limb and I took Francisco Alvarez. I'm unsure if he's going to get like enough playing time to get Rookie of the Year, but the dude is a stud. I'm debating switching it to the guy in St. Louis. Jordan Walker would be his name, correct?
Yep.
The third baseman. That dude is going to be something else. But I will stick with Francisco Alvarez. And then Corbin Carroll, of course, is the favorite. But I'm going to go out a limb a little bit in the National League. My
American League pick also is going to be Anthony Volpe for the same exact reasons that both of you guys exactly just mentioned. So I have him winning AL Rookie of the Year, NL Rookie of the Year.
Smart.
Well, Dylan is. You just got
funny.
NL Rookie of the Year again, Dylan. I also had Corbin Carroll winning NL Rookie of the Year. I think this guy definitely has potential to be a 30-30 type player already in his rookie year. So I'm very excited to see. Well, probably going to torch the Rockies, unfortunately, but I am excited to see what he does this year for sure in that. So yeah, and then Manager of the Year, I'll do that one for us. Start us off. American League, I have John Schneider from the Toronto Blue Jays. I think he has great potential to win that award. And then Bob Melvin in the National League for the San Diego Padres. I know I spent a lot of time saying, I got to prove it, got to prove it, got to prove it. I think they will do enough in the regular season for Bob Melvin to be worthy of winning Manager of the Year. So that is why I picked that. Nick, what'd you have for Manager of the Year?
I don't have any like really big surprise teams, which would normally garner a Manager of the Year award. So I pretty much went with the 1 seeds. I have Aaron Boone from the Yankees and Brian Snitker from the Braves.
I like it. Dylan?
For my AL Manager of the Year, I too also have Mr. John Schneider from the Toronto Blue Jays. I just think they're not the number 1 seed, but I think he's taking that team to another level, and if he can take them to the World Series too, that would be just adding more to his resume. So, and then for my NL Manager of the Year, I have Brian Snitker from the Braves. I just think the best team in the National League, that he's done very well with that team for the last however many years. So,
yeah, it's a great pick. Well, anyways, folks, 2 hours later, that's our show.
It was a long one, but
these ones are always a little bit.
We do like talking baseball. So.
Yep, absolutely. Dylan, what is all kind of the floor to you? Is there any other kind of baseball talk that you wanted to mention or bring up at all?
Not that I can think of. Just hoping that I can beat Nick in fantasy baseball again this year, as always. So
you should need a hope. I mean, you do it every year.
That's true. I'm just looking forward to being in the winning it or getting in second place this year, and we'll see if Nick actually makes the playoffs this year.
Not to win it this year. That's the rest of the league's hope. But
so I've won 2 out of the last 3 years, so I'll be all right. But we'll see what happens.
Kind of a big deal. You're a dynasty.
Yeah, I am a dynasty. So yep.
Yeah, screw off, Dylan.
But no, I really got nothing else. Hopefully the Twins can actually. I mean, if they win the Central, I'd be happy for them. I just hope that they can make the playoffs at least. So.
Yep. So I can hope for.
I, for one, can't wait for tomorrow. MLB opening day might as well be a national holiday. It's one of my favorite days of the year. The one thing I'm looking forward to is, I know there's a lot of haters out there, especially the purists, whatever. I don't like Manfred either, trust me. But I think this pitch clock thing's a great, great thing. I truly think it's a good deal. The minor league games were shortened by 26 minutes. Essentially, that puts games at around the 2.5-minute mark. Well, guess what? A hockey game takes about 2.5, if not a little less. NBA game takes about 2.5. NFL's about 3. College football is incredibly long, and people complain about it all the time because there's no need for it to be that long. Baseball is about 3. Now it'll be just like NBA and NHL. I don't think there's any problem with it. Yeah, there's some things that have happened in the minors where it's like, wow, that looks really bad. Well, guess what? They'll get them ironed out. They've even said they're going to have a little leeway. And you don't anybody who's played baseball, you don't need 15 seconds in between pitches and in between bats, all right? You don't need to Nomar Garciaparra up your gloves every darn time, right? Get in the box, get swinging, get on the rubber, get pitching. It's going to be nice, all right? I used to every once in a while, I'd tape a game and watch it from the beginning because I was late and I wanted to watch it, but I didn't want to get ruined. And I could literally hit like that plus 15-second button on your remote. And it was plus 15 seconds, or some of them had like 10 seconds, and I could hit it twice and see pitch. It was literally like 15 to 20 seconds in between every pitch. I'm like, this is ridiculous. It shouldn't need to be like that. We don't need to be Daisuke Matsuzaka on MLB The Show, and it takes 2 hours to throw 1 inning, all right? I think it's going to be great, and I can't wait for it.
Yeah. Dylan, what are your thoughts on the pitch clock?
I mean, I think it, like Nick just said, I think it's going to help. It's going to shorten games. It's going to keep hitters actually in the box from, like Nick said, taking 10, 15, 20 seconds to go in for the next pitch. They just need to get the bat over and go on to the next one. So that's all I got to say about it.
Yeah. I think it has great potential. I haven't fully decided what my thoughts are. I'm very much on the fence with it. I think it could be a very good thing. I want to see how it does this year. I want to see what the players think about it. If the players collectively are kind of like, this is a good thing, we got to keep this and got to keep this for the future, I'll be all for it. I just hope it doesn't come down to affect something in a deep playoff run to where somebody, a batter, didn't get set in the box with 8 seconds, called strike 3 to end the game.
I really don't think it will.
I'll have to see, and maybe by that point they will have figured out routines and stuff. That's the only concern I have. I think it could be very great, and hopefully it is. I want more people to watch baseball. I want it to be a popular sport.
Anything that can be done for more people to watch and more people to talk about the game I love, I'm fine with. I'm not huge on the shift ban. I personally think it's dumb that, teams use it as an advantage. They found a way to beat you, and they used it, and now people complain about it because, it's too hard to hit through it. I'm not a huge fan of that. However, it will probably lead to more hits, which might be a little more exciting baseball. And then the bigger bases might lead to more stealing, which I love. So I do think the rule changes this year are going to be decent. I like that extra inning rule and some of the other stuff they've enforced. I hate, like the whole runner on second, which I'm pretty sure is still a rule, right?
Yep.
So dumb. Like, I hate that rule. But honestly, I think the rule changes going into effect this year. I don't mind them.
Anyways, we'll see what happens with that. But we'll dive in to throw out some social medias here. Dylan, is there anywhere where the fans, you're going to have just probably the biggest all 50 people fan base following you after this show? Maybe they can talk some smack with you to Nick about, some fantasy baseball and how you're going to win 3 out of 4 titles in this league. Just continue the dynasty, obviously. Do you have anywhere where people can reach out to you and chat with you at all?
I guess they could probably, they could probably get on Facebook. That would probably be the best. So
no Twitter for the Ronald.
I don't have Twitter. I'm not into that Twitter stuff.
No Twitter for the Ron.
That's fair.
Nope, right. I'm not a Twitter junkie, so I'm just gonna. I'm kind of not so much old school, but I just have my certain apps, and that's all I need. So
I respect it. Respect. If you would like to then friend Dylan Pauly, go ahead and do that on Facebook. Talk some sports with them. If you would like to follow myself or Nick on any social media, you can find us on Twitter. Find myself at Lucas_Dorton. If you want to follow Nick, you can follow him at Doetkott. Sounded Doetkott probably makes more sense. So whatever's easier for you. Find that, folks. If you want to follow our Twitter page, it is at DND_podcast. Capitals D, capital D's, capital P for that to follow us there. And much like Dylan did, if anyone wants to reach out, be on a show, be on a podcast, let one of us know. We always love having new faces on. Anyone that I don't have to do a whole podcast with just Nick with is automatically going to be great. So please let us know.
This guy.
I don't know how you can do it, Lucas. I don't know how you can do so many episodes with him. I'd probably start going crazy after the first 10, probably.
You're not invited anymore, Ron.
I have to live with him.
Yeah, that too.
He's lucky enough to live with me.
It's
very fortunate.
Yeah, I should be getting some kind of monthly payment for that, really.
I would think so. You would need something to just have to deal with him every day, and oh man,
it's a paid position. It's a paid position.
Yeah, it is pretty much.
It is. But anyways, follow those social medias, folks. Certainly, like, share this as much as you can. We certainly appreciate people getting the name out there, getting the podcast out there. So we definitely appreciate that. Dylan, thank you so much for coming on the show. Hopefully you had a somewhat decent time.
I did. No, I did. It was a good time, guys. I appreciate you guys having me on, and look to maybe being on another time. So
absolutely.
Sure thing.
Absolutely.
Worst of luck to you in fantasy baseball.
You as well, sir.
All right,
hey, Nick, I just have one comment. Just don't get just don't be last place, please. At least be like close to the playoffs or get into the playoffs. That's all I hope for you, buddy.
This guy, the audacity out of this man. You know, I'll just trade my whole team to one guy just so he can beat you, Dylan. How do you like that, huh?
Go for it.
Boom! That's a mic drop, folks.
Yep.
He is not scared.
I'm not scared. He can have his star-studded team. I'm gonna have my balanced team. So
I got Shohei, J-Ran,
Hey,
Tatis,
there's a reason you got
Spencer
two banners,
Strider, and a
Dylan.
bunch of
I
scrubs.
know.
There's
And
a
Nick,
reason you got two banners.
yep, and Nick doesn't have he probably just has those last place finish banners probably.
Ouch.
Probably.
Ouch.
That's what Nick. That's all I'm hoping for, man. Just do well and make the playoffs. I want to
try not to be Colorado Rockies esque.
And with that, folks, for Dylan, for Nick, and myself, thank you so much for listening to episode 69 of the podcast. And until next time, we are out.